Imagine this. You are 16 years old. You can't read properly. Teachers say you are stupid. You have no money, no connections, no college degree. Now imagine, 30 years later, you own your own airline, your own island, your own space company. You are worth $3 billion. Impossible? Not for Richard Branson. Hello, everyone. Welcome to MindSpeak, the channel where you learn and improve your English through inspiring stories of the most influential people in the world. I'm Tony, your storyteller today. Here's the crazy part. Richard Branson broke every single rule. He dropped out of school at 15. He started a business from a phone booth. He almost went to jail. And today, he owns over 400 companies under the Virgin brand. How did a dyslexic school dropout become one of the richest and most fearless entrepreneurs on the planet? By the end of this video, you will discover his secret. You will learn the 3 rules he broke that made him a billionaire. And you will understand why your biggest weakness can become your greatest strength. If you skip this video, you'll miss the one mindset shift that changed everything for him. And it can change everything for you too. So, are you ready to learn? Comment number 1 right now, and let's dive into this unbelievable story. Richard Branson was born on July 18, 1950, in London, England. His family was not rich, but they were not poor either. His father was a lawyer. His mother was a flight attendant who later became an entrepreneur. But Richard's childhood was not easy. He had dyslexia. This means his brain worked differently. Reading was extremely hard for him. Writing was a struggle. Numbers confused him. At school, teachers thought he was lazy. They thought he was not smart. Some even called him stupid. Imagine being a kid and everyone thinks you can't do anything right. Richard felt lost. He felt different. He didn't fit in. But his mother, Branson, saw something special in him. She didn't focus on what he couldn't do. She focused on what he could do. She taught him to be brave. She taught him to challenge himself. When Richard was just 4 years old, his mother did something shocking. She dropped him off 3 miles away from home and told him to find his way back. Alone, a 4-year-old child. Why? Because she wanted him to be independent. She wanted him to solve problems. She wanted him to believe in himself. And it worked. Richard learned to think differently. He learned to take risks. He learned that rules are not always right. By the age of 10, he already dreamed big. He didn't dream of becoming a lawyer or a doctor. He dreamed of starting his own business. He dreamed of doing something no one else had done before. But school was still a nightmare. Teachers punished him for being slow. Classmates laughed at him. He failed almost every test. At 15, Richard made a bold decision. He dropped out of school. Everyone thought he was making a huge mistake. His teachers said he would fail. Society said you need a degree to succeed. But Richard didn't care. He had a vision. He wanted to create something of his own. He wanted to prove that you don't need to be good at school to be good at life. So, with just a dream and no plan, Richard started his first business from a phone booth. Yes, a phone booth. It was called Student Magazine, a magazine made by students for students. He had no office, no computer, no experience, just passion and courage. But what Richard didn't know was this tiny magazine would be the seed of a multi-billion-dollar empire. And his biggest success would come from his biggest gamble. Richard's first business, Student Magazine, was not easy. He had no money. He had no team. He worked day and night from that tiny phone booth, calling people, selling ads, writing stories. But he believed in his idea. The magazine became popular among young people. It gave Richard confidence. It showed him he could build something from nothing. But then he faced his first big challenge. In 1970, Richard wanted to sell records, cheap records, He noticed that students loved music, but couldn't afford expensive albums. So he started a mail-order record business called Virgin Records. Why Virgin? Because Richard and his friends were complete virgins in business. They knew nothing. At first, Virgin Records worked. People ordered records by mail. Money started coming in. Richard felt like he was winning. But then disaster struck. The British postal workers went on strike. No mail, no deliveries, no business. Richard lost almost everything overnight. He was broke. He was desperate. He didn't know what to do. So he made a risky decision. He opened a physical record store in London, a small shop on Oxford Street. People said it would fail. Who would come to a store run by a school dropout? But Richard did something different. He made the store cool. He added comfortable chairs. He let customers listen to music before buying. He created an experience, not just a shop. And it worked. Young people loved it. But Richard's troubles were not over. In 1971, he did something illegal to save money. He bought records tax-free and sold them in the UK without paying taxes. It was smuggling. The police found out. Richard was arrested. He spent a night in jail. He thought his life was over. His mother had to sell her necklace to pay his bail. Richard cried. He felt ashamed. He had disappointed everyone. That night changed him forever. Richard realized something important. Taking shortcuts is not worth it. Real success comes from hard work and honesty, not from cheating. He paid back every penny he owed. He promised himself he would never break the law again. And then something amazing happened. In 1973, Richard took his biggest gamble yet. He decided to open a recording studio. Not just sell music, but create music. Everyone thought he was crazy. He had no experience in music production. He had almost no money left. But Richard believed in taking risks. He bought an old manor house in the countryside and turned it into a recording studio. He called it the Manor Studio. And then a young musician named Mike Oldfield walked in. He had a strange album called Tubular Bells. No other record label wanted it. They said it was too weird. But Richard took a chance. He released the album under Virgin Records. Tubular Bells became a massive hit. It sold over 5 million copies. Virgin Records exploded. Suddenly, Richard Branson was no longer a dropout. He was a music mogul. Little did he know, in 10 years, he would take on an even bigger challenge. He would start an airline with no planes and no experience. And that decision would change his life forever. By the early 1980s, Virgin Records was a huge success. Richard signed famous bands like the Sex Pistols, Culture Club, and later, the Rolling Stones. He was making millions. But Richard was not satisfied. He wanted more. Not more money. More adventure. More challenges. In 1984, Richard got a crazy idea. He wanted to start an airline. Everyone thought he lost his mind. Richard knew nothing about planes, nothing about airlines. He didn't even have a pilot's license. His friend said, "Richard, you'll lose everything. Airlines are too expensive, too complicated, too risky." But Richard saw an opportunity. He saw that big airlines treated customers badly. Expensive tickets. Bad service. No fun. He thought, what if we create an airline that people actually enjoy? So, with borrowed money, Richard leased one single plane. Just one. He called it Virgin Atlantic. The first flight was from London to New York. Richard was so nervous. What if nobody booked tickets? What if the plane broke down? But something magical happened. People loved it. Virgin Atlantic was different. The seats were comfortable. The staff was friendly. There was entertainment. There was fun. Richard even walked down the aisles himself. talking to passengers, asking for feedback. The airline industry was shocked. Who was this guy? This school dropout with one plane? Big airlines like British Airways tried to destroy him. They spread lies. They stole his customers. They played dirty. Richard fought back. He sued British Airways and won. He proved that even a small company can beat the giants if you believe in yourself. Virgin Atlantic grew and grew. More planes, more routes, more success. But Richard didn't stop there. He launched Virgin Mobile, Virgin Trains, Virgin Hotels, Virgin Galactic, a space tourism company. Yes, Richard wanted to send people to space. People said, "Richard, you're doing too much. You can't be good at everything." But Richard had a different philosophy. He believed that if you take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers. And if customers are happy, business will succeed. He treated his workers like family. He listened to their ideas. He made work fun. Today, the Virgin Group has over 400 companies in 35 countries. Richard Branson is worth over $3 billion. But here's the most inspiring part. Richard didn't just build businesses. He built a lifestyle. He bought his own island, Neker Island. He broke world records in hot air balloons and speedboats. He kite surfed with Barack Obama. He lived life on his own terms. Richard proved that success is not about following the rules. It's about creating your own rules. He showed the world that dyslexia is not a disability. It's a different way of thinking, a superpower. He taught us that failure is not the end. It's just the beginning of something better. Drop a fire emoji if you're inspired right now. So, what can we learn from Richard Branson's incredible journey? Let's break it down into powerful lessons that you can use in your own life. Lesson number 1. Your weakness can become your strength. Richard had dyslexia. Reading was hard. School was torture. But because he couldn't read long, complicated documents, he learned to keep things simple. At Virgin, all reports had to be one page. All ideas had to be clear and short. This made his companies faster and more efficient. What others saw as a weakness, Richard turned into a superpower. So ask yourself, what is your weakness? Maybe it's the key to your success. Maybe it makes you see the world differently. Don't hide it. Use it. Lesson number 2. Don't wait for permission. Richard didn't wait for a degree. He didn't wait for investors. He didn't wait for the perfect moment. He started from a phone booth. He started with one plane. He started with what he had. Most people wait their whole lives for the right time. But the right time is now. Start small. Start messy. Just start. You don't need to be ready. You just need to begin. Lesson number 3. Take care of your people. Richard always said, clients do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. This was revolutionary. Most companies only cared about profit. Richard cared about people. He created fun workplaces. He listened to ideas from everyone, not just managers. He treated janitors the same as CEOs. And because of this, people love working for Virgin. They work harder. They stayed longer. They believed in the mission. Lesson number 4. Make business fun. Richard never wore a suit. He showed up to meetings in jeans and a sweater. He smiled. He laughed. He played pranks. Why? Because he believed work should be enjoyable. Life is too short to be serious all the time. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like adventure. Lesson number 5. Failure is not final. Richard was arrested. He almost went bankrupt multiple times. Virgin Cola failed. Virgin Brides failed. Many of his businesses didn't work. But he didn't give up. He learned. He adapted. He tried again. He once said, You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over. Every failure taught him something new. Every mistake made him stronger. So don't fear failure. Fear staying in the same place. Fear never trying. Lesson number 6. Create your own path. Richard didn't follow anyone's playbook. He didn't copy other businesses. He created his own way. When everyone said you need a college degree, he dropped out. When everyone said airlines are for experts, he started one. When everyone said space is for governments, he built Virgin Galactic. He broke the rules because the rules were made by people who wanted to keep things the same. Don't be afraid to be different. Don't be afraid to stand out. The world needs more rule breakers, more dreamers, more people like Richard Branson. These 6 lessons are not just for business. They are for life, for relationships, for happiness, for becoming the best version of yourself. So let's wrap this up. Richard Branson started with nothing. A dyslexic kid who couldn't read. A dropout with no degree. A teenager working from a phone booth. But he had something more powerful than education. He had courage. He had vision. He had the guts to break the rules and create his own empire. Today, Richard owns over 400 companies. He's a billionaire. He's been to space. He owns an island. But more importantly, he lived life his way. He proved that you don't need to follow the crowd to succeed. And here's the truth. You have that same power inside you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need permission. You just need to start. Take the first step. Break your own rules. Build your own path. If this story inspired you, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Subscribe to MindSpeak so you never miss another inspiring story. And turn on the notification bell so you're the first to know when we drop a new video. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's one rule you're going to break this week? What's one risk you're going to take? I read every single comment, and I want to hear your story. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Someone who's scared to start. Someone who thinks they're not good enough. Send it to them right now. Remember, your story is not written yet. You are the author. You are the hero. And like Richard Branson, you can build something incredible if you just believe in yourself and take action. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tony from MindSpeak. Keep learning, keep growing, keep inspiring, and I'll see you in the next story. Screw it, let's do it. If somebody offers you an amazing opportunity but you are not sure you can do it, say yes. Then learn how to do it later. You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and by falling over.